Signs for tourists only in Czech? You can't recycle paper in downtown Prague? Why is this locked? Why? Hey, my name is Janek and I'm an honest guide here in Prague, and we do videos about our city, and quite often we get asked, what would you change in the city if you had the power to? So here are some examples of what I would change in Prague. First thing I would definitely change are these signs above me. Those are tourist signs that point people where to go, where are the things they want to see. The problem here is that they're only in Czech. But take in consideration the fact that Prague is one of the most visited cities in the world by tourists, and they don't speak Czech. So I think the signs should be in Czech, but also in English, just like other cities around the world have it. Or for that matter, other cities in Czech Republic, even smaller cities that get fewer tourists, like Brno, they have signs in Czech and then in English. And I think this change would not only be easy, but also quite cheap. But there are some changes that are even easier to be done and even cheaper. So let me show those. One of the changes that should be done is that we should be able to recycle garbage in the downtown Prague. There's a lot of garbage bins. Unfortunately, there are not separate for, paper, cans and plastic. And when there's high season in the summer with all the tourists, they fill up quite quickly because they throw in plastic bottles and they don't recycle them because they don't have the choice of recycling. So I think the city should put up bins for plastic and paper as well as for, mixed trash. We are here on the Havel's market, and believe it or not, but after 800 years, the market is being cancelled. It used to be a regular fruit market. People used to go shop here. Then later in the days, it turned more into a tourist gift shop in a way. Only tourist stuff was being sold here. Now it's being dismantled, and I think the good idea would be to put little gardens, little patios, outside seatings for the local coffee places and pubs. And there's many of them, and it would be nice that they would have seating in the middle of the street. I've seen such a thing in Barcelona, and I really liked it and enjoyed it because it doesn't obstruct the people that walk on the sidewalks, and you have the best location to sit on the street with the best view of the church. So that would be my idea, or a change for one of my favorite streets in Prague. Just a little addition to the restaurant patios or gardens. I don't think the way to do it is to take up public space by building another restaurant in front of the restaurant. The idea is that you put out some tables and chairs and not an aquarium. This is just weird. Nowadays, we refer to it as the Museum of Tourism. So just if you're wondering what change would I make here, well, I would get rid of this. Suddenly you have twice the size the square. What would I change on this spot? Well, something that would benefit many people. We're in front of one of the very famous clubs in Prague. And when drunk tourists get out, they usually hail the first cab they see. And cabs were usually parked right here, but the cabs that were parking here were the ones who ripped the tourists off most of the times. So my idea to get rid of the cabs was to extend the sidewalk, which would also benefit the people walking on the sidewalk because it's really narrow there. And eventually the city did it. They got rid of the people parking here by putting up these massive stones. But you should have extended the sidewalk, not put these up, because now you've created like, a zone of nothing. Now you can't walk here, can't park here. It's just a brownfield in the middle of the city. Wrong. Do it again, please. And it would have been cheaper to extend the sidewalk than to put these stones here. We've moved just a little bit on the same street, and there is the change I was asking for a minute ago, where the city extended a sidewalk. But the change was done really poorly. You would think that when you want to extend a sidewalk, you take the curb, you move it, and you put the sidewalk in between that. Well, no, they left the original curb, added a sidewalk, and then added a new curb, but not the Prague typical curb that is used in the historical city center, but this new plastic curb. So in this case, the change is horrible. And even though it may look temporarily, it's, I'm pretty sure, going to be permanent. And if you're asking, why is it like this? Well, I actually spoke to the people working for the city. I actually met them right here. And I said, why do you do it like this? Why don't you move the original curb? And they said, well, if we would want to move the original curb, we would need a special construction permit. And I said, well, am I talking to the people working for the city? Isn't it easy for you guys to get a permit? And he said, no, it's not easy. It's actually very hard and it would take a long, long time. So this is the solution. Oh look, a beautiful place down by the river with a great view of the castle. Let's go there. Well, unfortunately, you cannot because it's locked behind one gate and two gates. The reason it's locked, honestly, I don't really know. It's a public space that is usually being rented out to a restaurant, but it's been locked like this for a while. So the change I would do here is quite simple and would cost zero. And that is unlock this gate and unlock that gate and let people use the space. And this does not apply only to this place. This has been closed for a couple months, but there are public spaces that have been shut down from the public for much, much longer. Let me show you. And this is the last change I would do, and the easiest one and the cheapest one, but the one that would have the biggest effect. I would open the area of the Prague castle to public. The area itself is closed now due to COVID, but there are security controls around the area. But there's this Stag Moat, this beautiful area around the castle that has been closed for 4 years now, and there's not a single reason for it. We've asked dozens of times why this area is closed, and the president who shut it down is simply avoiding to answer that question. So it is closed for no reason at all. And the sign here says that the area is closed in 2020. Well, it was also closed in 2017, 2018, 2019, now it's 2021. So if you put up a sign, you took all that effort and you did the job to print this and to put it up here, you know what's easier than doing this every year? Take the key and unlock it. It's that simple. So these were just a few changes that I would do to the city. They're from my personal point of view, but I think they're so easy to be done. Some would cost absolutely nothing and are very easy to be made that I think the city can and should do them. Obviously, there are much more complicated changes that are much more expensive and will take years to be done, and the city has to deal with those as well. This also relates to the fact that quite often people tell me, well, you should tell the mayor, you should ask the mayor. And a couple of years ago, I was living in this dream where the mayor is super powerful and can do whatever she or he wants. But I woke up from that dream, and I know that the changes sometimes quite often are very hard to be made. That's why we made this video with changes that are easy to be done. But hey, if you're watching and you live in Prague or you've been to Prague, I would like to know what you would change. So write in the comments an easy change that is cheap and easy to be made, what you personally would change on our lovely city of Prague. That was us, the Honest Guides, Honza and Janek, and our lovely city, Praha. I'll see you next week, Sunday, on another episode of The Honest Guide. And a Czech word at the end is change, which in Czech is změna. Změna is change. Změna.